Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posting about the theory that convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli agent, saying, quote, Jeffrey Epstein's unusual close relationship with Ehud Barak doesn't suggest Epstein worked for Israel. It proves the opposite. Stuck on his election loss from over 2 decades ago, Barak has for years obsessively attempted to undermine Israeli democracy by working with the anti-Zionist radical left in failed attempts to overthrow the elected Israeli government. This is all in reference to the latest wave of the Epstein files release, which included an undated recording of a conversation between Epstein and Barak. To discuss this, I'm pleased to bring in Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, former attorney for Jeffrey Epstein, Alan Dershowitz. He's also the author of many books, his latest one, The Preventative State. Professor Dershowitz, great to have you with us. We should note the latest files release, once again, not just stirring up theories like Epstein was working for the Mossad, but even possibly the KGB. I'm sure you've seen the reports. Putin's name mentioned almost 1,000 times in the latest batch, almost 10,000 references to Moscow. So knowing Jeffrey, a man you once represented, what do you make of those theories and specifically as well Netanyahu's post?
Well, this is really not about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. This is about the worst form of McCarthyism that has afflicted America since the 1950s. I want you to look at this paper that has been reproduced and sent by the Justice Department. It's called Prominent Names. And it's a list of prominent people who have been accused. Every single name of every accuser has been blacked out. So, for example, let's turn to me. It says blank, 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 blacked out. Stated she gave him a massage on Epstein's plane, parenthesis, not a minor. So let's understand that. This is an adult, a woman who was on Epstein's plane. She says, I was never on an Epstein plane with a young woman.
Right.
I never got a massage. This is total defamation, a total lie, but I can't disprove it because they won't give me her name. That's McCarthyism. On the issue of his spying let me continue.
Let's get
on
to
the
that.
issue of his for the Mossad, that comes from what is called an undercover confidential source. I happen to know who the source is. The source is somebody who the FBI investigated, found to be totally incredible, lacked all credibility. This is the worst form of McCarthyism. Why are we tolerating this? Why are we allowing accusations without the names of the accusers? For example, in my case, it's an adult woman. We don't know whether she's a victim. We don't know whether she's a perpetrator. We don't know whether she's a co-conspirator. Why do you hide her name and produce the name of the people who are accused? That's guilt by accusation. That's guilt by association. It's McCarthyism. It's wrong. It's unconstitutional. It has to stop. And the media is playing a role in this. Politicians are playing a role in this. Epstein will never be remembered.
Let me jump in for a second.
He will be remembered for inciting McCarthyism that infects America now more than it ever has since the 1950s. It has to stop.
I hear your passion. Let me jump in on this because it's not going to stop when it comes to the Clintons. We know President Trump says he doesn't think they should be called in, but they are going to be testifying. Hillary Clinton originally said she wouldn't, now she would, and now she is posting, let's stop the game. She wants it to be public, talking to the Oversight Chair James Comer, saying if you want this fight, let's have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing, cameras on. So let's be there. Do you support the public hearings, even though you're calling it McCarthyism? And I just want to go back to Netanyahu. Do you think for once and for all, Netanyahu's stance there with Barak will shut down the theories that Epstein was Mossad?
Well, it's an absurd theory. He was not a Mossad agent. Second, I'm delighted that there are public hearings. I invite them to call me. I'm happy to testify. But look, Clinton's name is on the list. It says Bill Clinton, not a victim in Epstein's case, claimed she was invited to an orgy with Clinton, but did not attend. Again, let's have a public hearing, but let's name these accusers. These accusers have no right to accuse and then hide behind anonymity. If they're minors, that's one thing. In my case, it says not a minor. What right does an adult woman have to level an accusation, a false, totally false accusation against me, and hide behind redaction and anonymity? That's McCarthyism. It's unconstitutional. And I'm delighted that we're going to see public hearings, let them call me to the public hearings. I'll tell them the truth about what happened. I won't claim any privileges. I won't claim any inability to remember. I remember everything, and I know a great deal about it, but they won't call me because they're not interested in the truth. They're interested only in gossip. The Democrats are interested in going...
Well, you put it out there.
Republicans are going after the Democrats.
You put it out there.
The truth.
So James Comer, if you're listening, you put it out there, Professor Dershowitz. So, you know, we'll see. Obviously, I know you know a lot of things, and you said you have been sort of, because of your attorney-client privilege, been sort of unable to share some of this. We would love to hear more.
Privilege. I, from day one, said I want public accountability. I want everything out there. But these phony victims...
Sounds like it's getting to part of this. Can I ask you about one other story outside? Can I ask you one other story related to his death, though? Outside of the public hearings, which we hear you loud and clear, I just want to get your thoughts on this because there are some new documents about what was going on the night of his death. And they're saying these new video logs, Professor Dershowitz, conflict with official accounts, conflict over what appears to be an orange flash, maybe an inmate escorted up to that tier. So now we're going back to the night of his death. Epstein's body found 8 hours later inside his cell. What do you make of new information? You represented Epstein. Did he kill himself?
Well, I didn't have any contact with him for 10 years before he killed himself or didn't kill himself. Look, he was not suicidal. And he had learned from his lawyers, I know, because the lawyers told me, I was not his lawyer at that point, but the lawyers told me that he was told he had a good chance of getting out on bail Monday or Tuesday following the weekend when he allegedly killed himself. So there's a good argument that he didn't kill himself. But then you have to ask yourself, who killed him? If he didn't kill himself, how did somebody get into the very, very, very highly secure MDC, Metropolitan Detention Center, and be able to kill him? So I think we'll never know, or at least I don't know the truth. I think there are arguments on both sides of whether he killed himself or was killed. But that doesn't answer the question, the big question of the McCarthyism that is permeating on both sides of the political aisle, permeating this discussion. We have to go back to our Constitution. If you're accused of something, the Sixth Amendment gives you a right to confront your accuser. It doesn't give the accuser the right to hide behind anonymity when you're an adult, period.
Professor Dershowitz, really good to have you today. Appreciate your thoughtful comments, as always. Thanks so much for joining us on Bianca Across the Nation.
Yeah.
Thank you.